Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 2017 horror drama Pyewacket, a film that focuses on a teenage girl and her mother primarily, who are going through a family tragedy. The mother decides that for them to move on they need to move away, which does not go down well at all with this teenage girl. She's dealing with her own issues in relation to the family tragedy, and she's getting through this primarily with the help of her friends, who she's very close with, and the mother can't stand living where they live anymore, so she decides to move them away a couple of hours up, and the teenage daughter is very unhappy with this. They don't get on, they're constantly fighting, and the mother says something particularly horrible to her in one fight that they have, and she's had enough by this point, and she's into the occult and, you know, goth and heavy metal and all this kind of stuff, and she decides she's going to do something about it, and she makes a drastically rash decision in anger to try and bring forth some entity to basically kill her mother, Pyewacket. And she performs some ritual in the woods from this occult book that she has, in the hope that she's going to bring forth this entity. And then almost immediately she regrets this decision, and now she has a problem because she suspects that some things might be happening, and she's terrified that she has done something really drastically wrong, and she's scared that she's going to lose her mother. And that's it really. That's the premise of this movie. And essentially, I mentioned at the beginning that this is a horror drama at heart, and heavy on the drama, but pretty horrific when it chooses to be. So for those of you going in there expecting bucket loads of blood and teenagers being slashed left, right and centre, or, you know, killed here and there, you're going to be a bit disappointed, because this essentially is, if you took the horror elements out of this movie, you would still have a pretty compelling family drama on your hands. What you do have is a fairly slow paced horror movie that is effective at what it does, at building tension, and ensuring that the audience are drawn in, because these characters that have been created are really quite well written and well fleshed out, so that when things start going down you care. And I was actually thinking when I was watching this, it kind of reminded me a little bit by Jaws, obviously not the subject matter, but whereas Jaws, they had to think creatively because, you know, they couldn't get the shark to work and all this kind of stuff, so they had to go down the route of suggestion and building tension here and there and really clever tricks. This is a bit similar because it didn't have a budget. This has to rely on other methods and means to draw you in, i.e. the performances, the situation, the drama, and then the horror elements mainly is suggestion. There's like a scene where one of her friends has a sleepover and something watches her sleep. You don't know what it is, it's just suggested, and then the morning after she's terrified in the car, desperate to leave, wants to go, and you don't hear from that character again from the rest of the movie. And what's terrifying to me about that is what actually happened. What did she see? Why? Because it didn't kill her, this entity. So it's really good at its suggestion here. It really well acted, this film, really nicely directed, tension filled. It's got really good believable relationships, right? The mother and daughter are very good, but also the relationship between her friends is very good. For me, the biggest problem for me is this: there's an author in this film where she goes to a book signing to an author of this occult book, and later on when she realises actually what's happening could well be very real, she contacts this author and he gets back in touch with her, and he gives her some suggestions of how to stop what's happening, and talks about Pyewacket and things. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, if you actually knew that Pyewacket was real, why on earth would you be writing about these occult things in a book and selling it to, you know, goth-ridden teenagers who are very likely to potentially try these rituals? That for me was just a bit bloody stupid, that, and I think that was the weakest written part of this film. But other than that, a pretty strong, effective movie this. When the scares start happening near the end, I actually thought the reveal was pretty effective. The ending's a bit ambiguous and a bit rushed. I would have preferred a little bit more time with the characters at the end, just to let it all soak in what's happened, but that's only a minor niggle. Overall, pretty effective horror movie this. Pretty slow paced, but what it gives you is good quality, and a pretty effective, decent horror movie, this one, guys.